Welcome to Project Virtual Conference 15. Our speaker in this session is David Ducalon. He will be presenting strategic vision planning, executing, and success. David serves as the Director of Project and Work Management Solutions at adaQuest, and he has a high level of expertise and considerable experience in project management across various domains. David, would you like to take your presentation?
Okay, thank you very much. So yes, as was said, my name is David Ducalon, and I work for adaQuest, and we are going to be talking about vision realization. So this is really how to execute a strategy, but a strategy is not more than a project, and we're using Project Server to help us do all of that. So with a little bit of context here, let's get started with the presentation. It's going to be about 50% PowerPoint and 50% demonstration. So hang in there and let's go through, hold your questions until the end. So the product that we're talking about, or the methodology we're talking about, is called TADâ, Think.Act.Deliver. Think.Act.Deliver. There we go. adaQuest at Think.Act.Deliver is under the Vision Realization Services part of adaQuest. adaQuest has been around for 12 years, and we have clients ranging from Microsoft, Starbucks, Sony, One Accord, large and small businesses. So what I really wanted to present to you and talk to you about is we are going through and we will understand what makes a project successful. If you don't have a successful project, you don't have a successful vision. If you don't have your successful vision, then you really shouldn't be in business. Okay, I know that's a bit strong. Anyhow, we're also going to explore what the right amount of process is. We call it specifically the right amount of process and not just enough process, and we'll talk about why. We will also be sharing with you the TADâ approach and hoping that you will see value in this, and it will be something that you will be able to implement yourself, or if you wanted assistance with it, we are certainly available to be contracted to help either in the software or in services with the framework. We will also be understanding what makes something simple, because really that is what gets everybody involved and keeps them involved, is that it is simple. We all have enough work to do. We don't need anything hard to add to our day. So where did TADâ come from? TADâ as an application has been around for only a year or two, but we started developing it back in '96. And this is the team of leaders that we have. We have Carol Bubar, Bruno Lecoq, and myself, David Ducalon. We together bring a wealth of client experience, subject matter experience, and research that has been done in project management, portfolio management, and what makes the success of a project or a group of projects being a program or portfolio. Okay, so we came together in 2013 and built then the framework for the Think.Act.Deliver. We ran some pilots and put the concept together so that we were able to launch it this year, and it is now commercially available, and we are ready here to present to you the full framework so that you can learn from this framework as well and implement it. And like I say, this is nothing that is rocket science. It's nothing very, very hard to do. It's something that everybody should be able to learn and grasp, and we will be able to assist you both with free literature or with services. Okay, so why are projects not successful? We know that everybody says projects are successful 78% of the time, 86% of the time, 90% of the time, fail, whatever failure rate you're talking about. But what we like to focus on is that as a group of projects, when you are executing your strategic initiatives within a business, that the best companies only achieve 34% of a return on their investment. So that is out of every $1 million that is spent on achieving the strategy and vision of a company, moving you forward in business, 34% of that is what you get in value. So $1 million, $340,000 of value. That is not something that very many executives would find impressive. That's not something that very many people would find impressive. Matter of fact, the only place I know where that works is in baseball. Yes, if you are batting at 340%, then you are doing fine. 61% of companies underperform at their key strategic activities due to poor execution. The Economist reports this. And what they're saying is that it is the poor execution. It's not bad project management. It is the poor execution of the activities that are necessary. And we'll go through those. 90% of organizations fail to successfully implement their strategies. Well, now that kind of seems incongruous with 34% return on the investment, right? You got to be successful to get a return on your investment. No, what they're saying is 90% of organizations do not achieve a full implementation of their strategy. And therefore, you can have 10% return on your investment and not a full success. So Kaplan and Norton point that out. This is something that's not rocket science, as I said. It's been around for a long time, and we wanted to figure out why this failure happens and when the failure happens. So we started looking at the project management process, the definition of success. First thing that we come up with is when you ask project managers, what does it mean to be successful at project management? On time, on budget. That's the thing that virtually everyone will agree on. You get some of the more accomplished project managers, and they will say that, we had to stay within scope. I mean, yeah, being on time, on budget, but we had to cut our scope so badly or anything like that. Okay, that's maybe not successful. So it is successful to include that you stay within your scope and you deliver the full scope. Rare project managers, but the good ones, will also point out that a project is not successful if you do not have a good experience for the team. So this is really what project management methodologies all focus around, is being on time, on budget, in scope, and possibly having a good, healthy team. Now, is that still something that you really would consider to be a successful project? Most people would agree. And until we did the research, I would have also agreed. But when you go back and think about it, what is a successful project? Did we achieve the business objective? That's really what defines a successful project and a successful portfolio of projects. You have a business objective in business for why you're doing it. We want to know what that business objective is. That's something that is not captured very often. Okay, so project management best practices, we've said, hey, they're there, they make you successful, and then we just refuted that and said, no, that's not a successful project. Successful project needs to know, did you achieve your business objective? Well, what's wrong here? There's nothing wrong with project management practices. We, as project managers, do the best job we can, and we do everything that is necessary. PMI even points out that you cannot be successful without a strong sponsor. Well, that's true, but that's outside the control of the project manager, is to have a strong sponsor, right? Well, not necessarily. Sponsors are generally available, but making them a good sponsor, that's something that we as project management professionals have to push back into the business because they are not in the business of being successful at project management. So they need to be our champions, bringing to us the why factor. Why are we doing the project? And that needs to be strongly delivered, strongly managed, and strongly communicated. That will make you have a successful project. So we found out there's basically 3 steps to do anything. What you want to do, how are you going to do it, and then you're doing it, operating it, living it. What is that? Think, act, and deliver. This is where we came up with the TAD framework. Think, act, deliver, to do what you want to do, how you want to do it, and then to do it. But we also went one step further and realized that in each one of those phases, the think, the act, the deliver phase, as we call them, there is some foundational elements that need to be adhered to be successful in each one of those phases. You need to plan. Yes, plan. It sounds pretty obvious, but scale planning to the needs of the business. Do not overplan. Do not underplan. Do the right amount of planning. Alignment. Now that is a very important one. And we would like to point out that alignment is not synchronization. Being in sync, everybody says, let's be in sync. Well, yeah, we all know that we all are going in what direction. Well, alignment is slightly different. It says that we all agree that we are going in one direction. And that is a very small but significant point. We need to focus, provide the right amount of structure. If you do not provide the right amount of structure, you will lose people's attention. The first one to lose the attention of is probably your sponsor. If you lose your sponsor, then we're back to square one. We don't have anybody who will help us guide with why are we doing the project, because inevitably it will change in its purpose slightly as events happen throughout the life of developing your project. And that comes down to the communication. Communication needs to be intentional communication of the why. It's one thing to communicate that you're on time, that you're on budget. That is saying that your constraints are well managed. It doesn't say that we are doing the project for the reason it needs to be done. So communicating what you're doing, why you're doing it, and how that is coming along, that is the intentional communication of the why. So the TAD framework with the vision realization services, we help you specifically with communication by managing the cultural change readiness, flexibility and accessibility, the right amount of structure and process, connectivity, organically extended. This is that right amount of process really built into your organization. Transparency and accountability, team as the owner, and self-sufficiency, and full adoption. This is the level of communication that needs to happen at each stage, each phase along the way. So, yes, TAD is comprehensive, but it's also simple. You'll start to hear more about simple. Simple is what really makes this successful. Think, act, deliver. TAD. Easy to remember, easy to do. Think can be broken down into its relative components. You strategize, you prioritize, and then you inspire. Yes, you communicate in all of the stages. Inspire is a specific one that is dedicated to pure communication, and it has an objective to get people to rally behind the project so that you start off on the best possible foot. Act, that is the how are we going to do it? This you can think of as your PMO organization. You need to design and build every project. This is where the project really lives and breathes, is in the design and build. This is the doing of the project with the project manager. And then we also want to report on that regularly and intentionally, and also be saying why we're doing it and how we're achieving our objective in that why. Now, you'll notice that we don't stop when the project is developed and delivered on time, on budget. That is well-managed constraints. We have now delivered the project, but it still does not meet the business objective until you launch it and operate it. And then you need to reinforce that operation, which helps you decide whether you should change it, modify it, or otherwise alter it so that you can continue to get the business value out of your objectives. So that's TAD, and it's simple, and it's a comprehensive framework. Now, what I want to walk you through is how do we apply this with Project Server. So this is my slide here to show me. Let's jump over into the software and start a demonstration. So if you'll bear with me for just 1 second here. Okay, so we are looking at TAD here in a Google Chrome browser. And the TAD homepage, it lets us see the full effect of every phase, how far along we are in that phase, and every stage along the way in those phases. Now, one thing I really want to point out here, and the system is going to refresh on us. 1, 2, 3, there we go. Okay, is that the act and deliver phases are typically running 100% of the time. Your project management office, your operations organizations do not stop. Whereas your think organization, the people doing the strategy, doing the planning, they might meet quarterly, they might meet annually, they might have a shorter period of running. But we see that think feeds into act, act feeds into deliver, but then you will notice here that the reinforce button also feeds back into think, because if the deliver people, the operations people, aren't talking to the planners, you are going to be planning for something that you are not ready to be able to handle. Now, how do we manage that? First thing that we want to do, and this is a little bit of secret sauce that we have here, is we do a competency assessment. And if I take a look at what a competency assessment is when it's all done, is I have 3 people here who took their surveys and did the where they think they are currently and where they think they want to be in the future. We have this nice spider graph, and it shows alignment, relative alignment. The blues are our current, the blue and green, and the orange and red are our future. So we kind of see where people have some difference of opinions. Well, it's also not easy to see with all of these lines. So let's go ahead and, for example, I want to just look at the future. So I will turn off the current. I get it redrawn. Now I have different set of colors here, but I see that in the develop and manage human capital, so HR organization, that Sue is not favorable in that. And if Sue is the director of HR, then we may want to listen to her. Even if Sue is not, we certainly want to understand her point of view and bring it in line, because everybody else is an uptick on HR, and she, from the average, is a downtick. So we want to bring everybody into alignment. That's what that, one of those key pieces of every phase, our foundational elements, is alignment. And this is how we obtain the alignment. We obtain the alignment for every part because we're talking about strategy execution here at the business level. We have it for every single stage, every single business process throughout the organization. Once you have that, let's go ahead and take a look at one more thing in alignment. And this is a competency chart. Now that we've had everybody go ahead and do their assessments, we got everybody in alignment, we then spit it out into a 4-quadrant view. Well, this 4-quadrant view has a little bit of intelligence behind it. It's not simply an XY plane. There's an algorithm here with some weighting that allows us to see where should we spend more investment, increase investment, 3, 6, 2, and 11. As you see, these are the same areas that we have on our spider chart. This just makes it more obvious that the develop human capital is something here, number 6, that we are currently not very strong in, and in the future, we see it as very important to the organization. So it's those things that need to be focused on, those capabilities. These capabilities in the green are things that can be improved, can be left alone. You just really will find something like number 8, which maybe is close to the line and you want to bring it into either a downgrade or maybe an upgrade or leave it alone. TAD, one thing we are very keen on is that we do not espouse that we have the perfect answer to everything. This is to generate discussions for your business and help you stay aligned so that you know what you're doing, why you're doing it, and that it is right for the organization. Okay, so we're in alignment here. Now that we've got alignment, we want to go ahead and talk about, now we need to bring our themes together. They're called business drivers in Project Server. And the business drivers in TAD are called themes. So since we're going to be doing some Project Server work here, I'm going to switch over to Internet Explorer because we are running with 2010 and that is not going to behave very well with a Google browser. Okay, so now we're here in IE and we're in TAD. We're still in our TAD environment. Let's go ahead and refresh this one. Okay, we see all of these themes. These are business drivers. In TAD, they're very simple to create. Let's go ahead and look at what one is. Increase the expertise of employees. You have your description. This is very much like Project Server, and doing it in Project Server, we have one additional capability, which is the ability to tie these themes to the business areas that they are improving. So this adds a lot to the discussion of why we're doing it. Increasing the expertise of employees, you could have a lot of reasons why you would want to do that. But the scope of this says that we are developing and managing our sales plans, we're developing and implementing security, privacy, and data protection controls, and managing human resources policies and strategies. So it looks like it's got about 2/3 HR function and 1/3 security function. Okay, that's important, we feel, in building your organization. Now, once you have this together, we can go over into Project Server and look at our driver library. Now, what I want to show you here, we're going to do some real live demo here, is that I show you we have our business drivers, and back in TAD, they match our themes. We are going to create a new theme. So some idea, and the description will be nothing much. And let's go ahead and submit it. Don't have to have a lot of data here. Now I have some idea, nothing much. And what happens? we go over to Project Server. Let's refresh this page as well. And what do we see? We see the sum idea is here. When I click on it, I see that our description is nothing much. Yes, we make it so that you do the right amount of process in the right tool and it shows up in the other tool as needed. We don't think that Project Server is probably the best tool for your business executives building their strategy. We walk them through it in TAD, and I can give people who are interested more context around why that is a better tool. We go into other areas that are not really relevant for this talk right now. But if I want to go back into TAD and remove that item, always at risk with a live presentation. It's not deleting. Okay, well, we can just go right on past that. Over here in our driver prioritization, our driver library, we don't want you focusing there with the TAD process. We want you to go into the driver prioritization. This is where Project Server is fun, and this will keep people interested. We go in and let's look at the Scope Pro prioritization. We set all the properties dynamically. We let you say how one relates to another. Get through your driver pairwise comparison. Executives really find this valuable and insightful. So that gives them the prioritizations, the numbers that they needed to see. Okay, so Project Server, let it be what it is best at. We then go back into TAD because in this part of the experience now, we have our reasoning for our strategy. We've defined our strategy, which I didn't really show here. It's not too project management or Project Server specific. And we have created themes that are aligned with our business objectives for the next period, the year, let's say, and going forward. Now, we will want to go back into TAD and we want to manage our initiatives. We want to look at the initiatives. Why do we call them initiatives and not projects? Well, because when I showed you TAD and we talked about the framework, and here in the deliver phase, we talk about launching, growing, and reinforcing. That is typically past the life of the project. You've delivered on the project. Well, the initiative, the purposeful objective here is not yet complete. So that's why we call them initiatives. Let's go ahead and look at what it means to do an initiative in TAD. Data security here. When you're starting out in TAD, you only need to put in an initiative name and a problem statement and an objective. If you're not clear what we mean by problem statement, hover over the I and it'll tell you. So what should be addressed, changed, or fixed because of this does or does not need to happen. Okay, this text is configurable by every administrator so that you will in fact be able to put out the definition for a problem statement that meets your organization's culture. So problem statement and objective. When you have that, you are able to submit it. When you submit it, let's go over into Project Server, and we will see that in Project Server, we have all of the projects. This is the same thing as the initiative. I could build another one for you, but we don't want to run out of time here in our presentation. So it automatically populates over. Then you would go into your portfolio analysis and do your portfolio prioritization. I want to show you one thing more though, is that once you have decided which projects you may want to do, we align within the project the business driver. So we put that alignment right here in the definition, in the charter, in the scope of the project. What business driver? Why are we doing it? And what is it aligned to? Then, when you come back into your portfolio analysis and you do your portfolio analysis, we focus on, again, the fun stuff. TAD will initially bring people to this page here where you will have all of your relationships between your business drivers and your projects, your themes and your initiatives will be laid out here. You can make any adjustment as necessary, and then you can go ahead and review your prioritization, review your prioritization, you see which projects are important, and then you simply go off and do your analysis. You get to change and do all of the inputs, outputs. Let's say let's go, our budget's here, 250,000. And what does Project Server say to that? Oh, it says that the process X and the facilities expansion need to fall out. Maybe we say that facilities expansion is an absolute must-have, so we force it in. We do the calculation. It goes through. We've all seen Project Server, but this is where the executives get involved. They stay involved, and they like this area of it. So give it to them. Bring them in where they need to be. Okay, so I'm going to segue now, and we're going to go back into the PowerPoint for just a little bit more. Catch that. Okay, so I'm going to walk you through the steps that we already went through. I have screenshots of them because this presentation I will make available to anybody who contacts me so that you can have this information at your fingertips. We do alignment. We do our prioritization of our functions. We do the themes and the business drivers. Now, what I want to show here is that this theme screenshot, this is off of an iPad, and this theme management, this definition, that is off of a Windows phone. So TAD is available not only with the right tool for the right time, it's also available on the right device at the right time. So that is really what simplicity is in our definition. Okay, we do the prioritization, we do our calculations there, we do the projects, we capture the why, we do our trade-offs, and then we are into the PMO and act phase. Now, how do we add value to what Project Server already does? Well, we'll put some structure around the process for operating this. But most importantly, we really focus on the right amount of process. Since we have that project charter development capability, that web page you saw on the initiative, we will help you work through the risks and costs and determine if it's a category 1, 2, or 3 project. Different categorization of projects have different requirements. These requirements, this grid, is organizable by the customer, and you can decide if something is optional or required. This is simply our out-of-the-box default recommendations. Okay, so then we want to go back into TAD and take a look at it, but we've already seen this part of TAD, so I'm going to go through just the screenshots. So we have the software here, scaling your initiatives with your process. We have here that we align the themes, the business drivers, and we also, we align the competencies within those initiatives as well. We have live status reports. These status reports are very simple. They let you manage your cost, schedule, scope, and overall status, and put a justification for your coloring on each one of them while you are tracking your past accomplishments, your next accomplishments, the risks, and this is important here, your public comments, what you want to make available to people who are reviewing this project. We put it forth in a dashboard. The dashboard, we have charts and widgets of charts that we put at the top, which are managing your objectives. We also have here then a list of your portfolio to do the statusing of it. This, I will switch over here to demonstration for just one moment. Let's go back to the project server side of it. And let's go to TADâ here and look at the strategic dashboard. Strategic dashboard then shows me all of my outcomes that I'm managing, shows me all of my projects, my initiatives, and if I click on, say, scope, then that will bring up a tab where I'm in the status report, and it will show me the scope of that. Once we get there. Okay, I have to refresh the page. A little bit of security there. Okay, so we're in our status report and we can manage our status reports. Let's go ahead and go back to the presentation. And we see that we are now in the deliver phase. The deliver phase, and that is really your launching, growing, and reinforcing. We have a document vault that we provide along with the framework, with TADâ, to help people manage all of their documents, the resources that go along with this process. We have a calendar that integrates with SharePoint's calendar, Google's calendar. It then can also show up on your Exchange or Outlook. We have an operations dashboard, which looks very much like the strategic dashboard, but this is down for the department or division. We have a more complex version of that. And I'm going to take the last 2 minutes here and show you it live in TADâ. So we have our dashboards. If I go to Scope Pro, our fictitious company, we want to look at the dashboard.
Hey, David, this is Jonathan. I just wanted to give you a heads up. There's 15 minutes remaining in the session.
Yep, I've got one more slide after a couple of pages here of screens, and then we will be done. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
A little bit of refreshing problems here today. I don't know what that's all about. And one last try. There we go. Okay, that tab for some reason has died on us, so let's work with this tab. Okay, so we have our list of our metrics, the things that we want to manage our work against. And we take a look at the history. Oops, that's not a very good one. Well, let's add some data. Go in and put in a value of 25. We could put in comments of anything we want. And if we could change the color of it, I'll leave it still the same color. Once you step off of it, it goes ahead, saves. We now have our updated comment. We have our updated value. And excuse me, click on the history. When you click on history, I guess I have to put in 2 values. Go to the history. 54. Good. And now I have my 1 point. So it doesn't show you the current value, it shows you all the historical values. Okay, so let's go back to our presentation and finish up here. Let's wrap up. In summary, okay, we've shown you what successful projects are. They are completed for the right reason. The right reason is managing that why and keeping that throughout the process. The right amount of process is sometimes more than just enough. That's why we focus on the right amount for your organization, which is not necessarily the right amount for my organization. TAD keeps the why in sight. That is something that TAD is really focused on, is keeping everybody involved and keeping the why in sight. And simple is not less. Simple is the right amount on your terms. If you're on an iPad, you want to be working on that iPad. If you are out of the office and all you've got is your phone available, you want to be able to respond on your phone. You do not want to have to be beholden to getting to a full web browser or one that is in this configuration or that configuration. For more information, you can at any time send me an email at davidd@adaQuest.com, or if you're interested specifically in the vision realization services, follow this URL. Okay, that concludes the presentation, so I will turn it back over to Jonathan, and we will open up for any questions.
Yeah, David, we do not have any questions that were submitted, so if you want to give any closing thoughts or anything else you'd like to say before I wrap it up.
Okay, yeah, so in closing here, I just wanted to point out that this TAD framework is something that we believe will work on anything from a single project to a large portfolio of projects. It will work for a small company to a large company. And if you do nothing more than follow the basic outline of Think, Act, and Deliver, then we feel we will all be more successful at our projects in the future. So by all means, please watch this presentation as often as you need to. And if you're interested and want a copy of the PowerPoint slides, get a hold of me at davidd@adaQuest.com.
All right, thank you very much, David. Anything else you'd like to add before we wrap up?
No, I don't have anything else to say. I think we've gone through it all.
All right, thank you very much, David.
Okay, thank you.